everyone, and today's video is all about vanilla, but there's a catch. These aren't everyday dominant vanilla fragrances. These are fragrances that are complex and they have lots of interesting notes that make them a little bit different from those very heavy pure vanilla fragrances. So I thought I'd pick out some really interesting ones to share with you from my collection. Here we go. No particular order. I'm going to start with one by 4,160 Tuesdays, and this one is called, you can't really see it, but it's called Goodbye Piccadilly. This one is really interesting. I have some up here. And this one, the vanilla is not the main note. There is vanilla in here and that helps to keep it grounded and smooth, but basically what you have in here is lavender, violets, I think there's iris, definitely some fresh sort of bergamot lemon type things going on. It smells very vintage. I think there's some vintagey musks and stuff. It is really interesting. It is crazy long lasting, a real good sillage around you as you move around. It's quite a strong one, even though it's also somehow a little bit subtle. Goodbye Piccadilly. I once described it as, it's like you've got these floaty ghosts just hanging around with you. There's something really ethereal about it, yet somehow it's got a real noticeable presence. So I love that one. The vanilla, as I say, is not the main note and you don't notice it straight away, but as it moves around and it really transitions on your skin, this one, you do get the vanilla after a little while. I can smell it now. It's been on my skin about half an hour or so. The vanilla is only just surfacing now. So next up then, let's go for this one. This is called Traversée du Bosphore and it's by L'Artisan and Parfumeur, and this one is a rose Turkish Delight powdery icing sugar vanilla fragrance. So there's vanilla in here right from the get-go, but because it's clouded in powdery fluffy iris and there's this gorgeous delicious edible rose, just try it. It's really gorgeous if you love rose and vanilla together, and then the iris makes it so much more interesting. Next, okay, let's do this one. Look at this bottle. This is Havana London and it's called Mantic Orange. So this one is a gourmand orangey fragrance, but it's not orange as in fresh orange. This is orange as in almost like a processed, excuse me, dry throat. It's like you processed an orange and you took that fresh, sharp bitterness away from it, and because you were going to use it in cooking, you're going to use it to make the most delectable chocolate orange cake. And of course, when you make a really good cake, you use very gorgeous vanilla extract. So this fragrance is kind of like a chocolatey orangey thing, but it is not, it's not mega heavy. Sorry about that. It's not mega heavy. I think I got some up here. Is it there? Yeah, it still has a lightness, even though it kind of is quite sweet, and it is a bit heavy, but it's almost like, imagine a fluffy cake. It's just been, the cake mix has been whipped up and whipped up and whipped up, so it's just super fluffy. It's kind of like that. It's like a mousse, chocolatey, orangey mousse with gorgeous vanilla extract in it. Havana London and it's called Mantic Orange. Okay, let's throw one completely random at you. Let's go for this one, Lulu by Cacharel. Now, Lulu by Cacharel, this is an old bottle. I got it on eBay and it is a 1996 batch. I understand there's been reformulations and current batches apparently are not as good as the old stuff, but that's what they say about everything that's been reformulated. This is a little bit medicinal. It's a frangipani gardenia type of flower smell. If you're not quite sure what they are, it's a bit like jasmine or orange blossom, but imagine them just slightly more fruitier and maybe sweeter, less sharper. So it's a rounded, sweet white floral with sugar and vanilla. This one, as I say, is a little bit medicinal. I don't know if current formulations have that medicinal feel. It's really rich. There's resins and incense in the base. It is amazing for such a cheap fragrance. This can be found in shops for around about the £15 mark. And if you like a big, loud, blousy floral with your vanilla, then that's well worth a go. I have really great memories because I had a miniature bottle when I was a miniature person, and I used to just pull the little top off and sniff, or just dab a tiny little bit on my wrist, and then I'd be smelling it all the time. So this is a real great scent memory, and I would happily still wear this, and I do here and there, more for my own pleasure, because I do tend to wear my more high-end stuff out in public because I am a snob. But if I'm just chilling at home or doing naffle, and I feel like doing naffle smelling bloody amazing, then I will sometimes pick Lulu to wear to envelope me in that gorgeous floral vanillic heaven. So coming up next, this is Bacio di Velluto. It's by Brigantia Perfumes. I've talked about it a lot on this channel. Do go and read my review. In brief, it's ylang ylang, sandalwood, ambergris and other stuff, and a whole ton of vanilla in the base. It is gorgeous, it's delectable, and I'm saying no more about it than that. Next up is a Bois Domine. This is from Guerlain. I've also mentioned this a fair few times on my channel. So all I'm going to say is that you get benzoin. Benzoin is beautiful. It's a gorgeous resin. It's a bit sweet and it's kind of slightly incensey. You also then, in the dry down, it's not straight away do you notice the vanilla, I think, but in the dry down, the vanilla really, really comes out, and it absolutely sings off your skin. It is just stunning. I think there's probably some floral elements that hang around with the vanilla. I couldn't even pick them out. All I can tell you is that it smells simply divine. It's a very grown-up vanilla. I generally don't like my fragrances to smell too cakey and too dessert-like. I like them to err on the edge of dessert-like, but not quite go full cake craziness. So let's go for the next one. So this one actually is a decant. You can't see what it is, but I'll tell you what it is. This is a cheapie. It's called ODESZA Emissions, and everyone knows about ODESZA Emissions, but it is not to be ignored. It does smell a tiny bit boozy. You do smell vanilla straight away, but it also smells a little bit like you've got a liqueur. I feel like there's rose in there. I don't know if there definitely is, but it smells quite rosy to me. It reminds me a little bit of Intense Cafe by Montal, which almost made this list, but I decided to go for this one instead, to go for the cheaper option, try and keep it a little more balanced. And this one is kind of transparent. It's a transparent vanilla with some woods to kind of temper the sweetness, and the rose and some incense. It's also got benzoin again. Benzoin is definitely a note that I adore. And so yeah, ODESZA Emissions is a super cheap option, and you will smell expensive. It doesn't smell cheap, and it doesn't smell cakey and gourmand. It smells like a really good fragrance. Next up, fairly new in my collection, Chanel Biarritz. Now this is probably not typically being banded around as a vanilla fragrance, but to me, I get vanilla almost from the get-go. If I've got any space left on my skin, let's put some on. I really love this. This has got a few compliments when I've worn it. You do need to respray it fairly often. I would say every 3 hours to be sure you're going to get noticed. every 4 to 5 hours if you don't mind your projection being quite low. But I'd resprayed, I think, a couple of hours before walking out of work in front of one of my colleagues, and she said, oh, all I'm getting from you is this lovely perfume, and that was this. So anyway, on with the show. What does it actually smell like? So you get this kind of sharp, lemony, orangey, citrusy notes. So it could be a bit of a cologne. It smells like a really nice cologne, so not a bitter cologne like 4711. Take anything bitter out and just make it a sweet citrus fruits. But it doesn't take long before you get this sweet vanilla coming through, and it is really, really beautiful. It's not the most there's not a lot to say about it. It does change on your skin though, and as I say, it's not the most long lasting. In fact, it's the least long lasting out of all of these fragrances, but it is really, really beautiful. And you get a nice big bottle. It's 125 mils that you get. If you can get it at the airport, prices aren't bad at all, around about the £75 mark. I really like this one. I prefer it to Derville, although I do find Derville is really, really refreshing and great for when you're feeling hot and bothered, which has been happening a lot in this country lately. So that is Bay Ritz. I've got 2 more for you. So this is Agonist of the Infidels, and this one is super complex. This is probably the most complex fragrance I'm telling you about today because, well, here's the ingredients. So when I say ingredients, I mean ingredients. I don't mean notes. And if you don't know the difference, sort yourself out. I'm only kidding. This company are all naturals, or they certainly were when I first discovered them. All naturals, and basically you've got a whole ton of stuff going on in here. So how does it really smell though? It smells like walking into a head shop. Now, when I say head shop, it might be not what everyone thinks I mean. What I'm talking about is a shop that sells incense, a shop that maybe sells other stuff like drugs, paraphernalia, and anything a little bit spiritual, that kind of thing. But it smells like a whole load of different scented joss sticks, incense sticks. And it smells like vanilla, and it smells floral and incensey and dry and citrusy, with just this vanilla just kind of running through it. Once you've had it on your skin for about half an hour or so, you start to notice the vanilla coming through. You've got various woods, ylang ylang, patchouli, opopanax, iris, cloves. So you've got lots going on, spices, incense, citruses, but basically forget all of that. You've just got the most complex, incensey, head, mind-numbing, crazy good fragrance. So I really love that one. The Infidels are probably the least vanilla-y out of all of them, because the vanilla's not as obvious and certainly not straight away from the get-go. So finally then, this is the newest thing in my collection. I have it here, and it's this. So this is 611 Extremo from Havana Tinelli. So I did an unboxing of the 3 fragrances that are currently in this collection. That's on my channel, but this one is, oh my god, it is crazy good. So there is definitely quite a lot of vanilla going through here. It smells like there's also some coconut, but not in that childish, I don't know, you can buy cheap coconut products from shops like Boots and Superdrug. You can get like coconut flavoured coconut hair conditioner, that kind of stuff, and it always smells a little bit cheap. It's got that connotation of the coconuts, the kind of scent that you put in things aimed maybe at younger people, so it kind of smells a bit young and a bit cheap. But if there is coconut in here, it certainly smells like there is a coconut thing going on. It is not cheap smelling, it is not synthetic smelling, it just gives it this texture, almost like if you cut a coconut in half and then you've got the flesh, that slightly moist, flesh, not the coconut water, not the coconut shell, but the actual flesh, and it gives the fragrance a texture of the coconut flesh, which is gorgeous. The main floral note in here is tuberose, which is one note that I struggle with, and for some reason I love it in this fragrance. So I couldn't wear carnal flower, it's just too much. I don't like fragrances that wear me, I like to wear my fragrance, and for some reason the tuberose is dealt with such a delicate hand here. So you've got a tuberose, you've got this coconutty note, you've got loads of vanilla. You've got a soft fluffy vanilla base, and then there's a bit of incense, and what I love is the fragrance really changes on your skin. So what you spray at first is not what you get 15 minutes later, and again it's not what you get half an hour later. It just undulates on your skin. It's really, really gorgeous. So that is my latest love, featuring vanilla, 611 Extremo. Do check it out. I understand that you can actually get samples from a UK stockist called Shy Mimosa, and I'm not sure about the USA, but you can check out the actual website for Havana Tinelli. I have to really think when I say that, because I accidentally said Giovanni Antonella. So it's not that, it's the other way around. That is it. That concludes my complex vanilla fragrance video, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'd love to see you in the next video if you care to join me. Do you want to see my cat? She's asleep beside me. Oh, there she is, look. There she goes. Sweetie. Say hello to everyone. There's a good girl. Oh, she's tired. Bye, everybody. Bye, sweetie.